from South Africa, and we've really been honored to hear from all of them. And his name is Sriman Ujjvala Prabhu, and he met Gurudeva and Srila in 2010, and he took Diksha also in 2010. And I'm going to unmute him now so that we can hear his offering. Okay, you have 15 minutes, Prabhu, and if you're running close to time, Yashodhari will hold up a sign. Yeah, that looks like that. Okay. We're ready for you now, Prabhu. Haribol?
Ujjwal Prabhu, you're gonna have to press the button that says unmute or allow to unmute on the screen. There we go.
Working now.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Take two. Okay. Om Yantrimyandasya Ginanjana Shrakaya Chakshudu Minitamina Tasme Shri Gurube Namaha Namo Vishwadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhakti-Vedanta Narayana Namine. Radhe Radhe. Dhanavad pranams to all the devotees that's tuned in to this offering to Srila Gurudeva on the centennial. And thank you for having me and hosting me. I've actually got in a little bit late from work, and I just joined in recently. So I was checking in most of the day, listening to the Harikatha on Facebook and the glorification of Gurudev. But however, of course, I was also meditating today as well. I think like a lot of devotees, I think it's what one does is actually meditate on Gurudev oftentimes. I think for most of us, because Gurudev has this unique ability to actually enter into every devotee's hearts somehow or the other. And I think for each of us has a personal message, testimony as to how Gurudev actually entered into our hearts. Narottam Das Thakur Mahashai actually sings Chakudan Dilo de Jamne Jamne Prabhu se Divyagan Hide Prakasito PureBhakti.Tv Hoite Avidya Vinasa Jate. Right? That the spiritual master has actually given us a gift of transcendental knowledge. He's given us the gift of prem. And of course, and from him is actually mentions that prem bhakti emanates. So for me now, then there's some in terms of my own life. I think in terms of growing up, I grew up as a sort of in a Hindu sort of family, and we did the usual Hindu rituals, etc., like that. And there was always a sense of spirituality about, and always, I think within myself, I always ask myself, is this the be all and end all of life? And I think there was a voice within myself that I would listen to and mention that there's always something more. There's something more. There's something that you need, something that you're yearning for, something that is there. And I think in most people's lives, we turn to sense gratification. For me, I got involved in sport, and I used to play squash a lot, and I thought, this is the be all and end all, of course, and this is my life. I'm going to be a professional sports person. And then somehow the other during that times now, then I came across the devotees and was introduced to Krishna consciousness via Srila Prabhupada's books, went to ISKCON, etc. That voice was still there within myself, that there must be something more. There must be something more. And I thought that, okay, well, let me then enter very deeply into Srila Prabhupada's books, because hearing what the lectures were telling us, that everything is within Srila Prabhupada's book. So I thought, let me enter into Srila Prabhupada's books. Let me read more. Let me try to understand more, because then maybe I'll find the answers. And then this emptiness I'm feeling, this yearning, I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but it was something that I think, one silently feels, but you can't really put it into words. Then, I started reading Srila Prabhupada's books, for reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, like that. And I thought, these pastimes are amazing and wonderful, but there was always, I wanted to understand more, but I couldn't quite again put my finger on things, what this was all about, with regards to how I fitted into all of this. And I think everything in terms of my journey throughout my life and becoming Krishna conscious, was everything actually came to fruition when actually meeting Srila Gurudeva. Reading his Harikatha, actually understanding, I was actually saying to my godbrother that I came across Srila Gurudeva's lectures, I think in 1995, 96. And I was saying to this godbrother of mine, I said to him in the beginning that, I remember praying that I don't know who the Siddha Purush is. I don't know whether this personality is, still alive on this planet or has left his body. But for this personality, of course, I can sacrifice my life. I remember sitting at work sometimes and reading Srila Gurudev's book, Gurudev's lectures, and hearing. And I'd be sitting at my desk and crying and then thinking, what is going on? What is happening? Who's his personality? And then somehow the other, of course, by Krishna's grace, I met Srila Gurudev, took Diksha from Srila Gurudev. And Gurudev in himself, of course, it's like as if everything has become alive in Krishna consciousness. They actually mentioned that everything's in Srila Prabhupada's books, but Gurudev actually went like this and he says, yes, but I have the key. So everything is actually there with her, but however, of course, it's under lock and key. And there's a general meaning, Gurudev says, and then there's a hidden meaning. And then Gurudev has actually opened up so much and actually giving us the hidden meaning in terms of what is our ultimate goal, our ultimate prayojan, in terms of entering into Krishna consciousness. Yashodhari Didi, of course, mentioned very nicely, of course, where she was very fortunate, where Gurudev actually wrote to her and actually mentioned that our ultimate aim and objective, of course, is to become a Palyadasi of Srimati Radhika. And here we have a Vrajrasik Siddha Purush. We have Srila Gurudev, who is a Palyadasi of Srimati Radhika, who himself actually has come, and to those of us who have been fortunate to actually take his association, somehow or the other, even if it was a moment, I think we know actually how his darshan has actually changed our lives. My wife says to me that there's a difference that actually happened to you when you came across your spiritual master. And I said, what do you mean a difference? It says, when I met you, you talk about spirituality and you'll give me philosophical answers, etc., like that, and you'll preach to me, but something happened to you after you met your spiritual master. And I was like, what do you mean, what happened to me? He says, well, when you'd speak before, it was okay, and you'd talk to me normally. But now when you speak to me, you can't help but actually start crying sometimes. And what has your Gurudev actually done to you? And I think, in terms of us devotees and each one of us, of course, now when we reflect, I think he's touched all of us in a special way. And I was reading one of his lectures where he was speaking about Viraha Bhajan. And I think that this is, that's somehow or the other, by having him here was amazing and special and transcendental. But I think without having him being personally present, we somehow or the other, of course, he's also giving us his darshan by giving us an opportunity to also taste a little bit what it's like to actually enter into and engage into Viraha Bhajan. So, you know, I think all of us remember Srila Gurudev. We pray to Srila Gurudev. The senior devotees, his sannyas garden, remind us. And I think we're fortunate, and I'm indebted to Srila Gurudev. You know, Janma Janma Prabhu say life after life after life. And all I can desire to do is actually, one day, of course, be able to actually satisfy his heart. One devotee actually put an article out, and she was mentioning, she was mentioning, oh, Gurudev, you know, I'm full of sin. I come from a sinful background. There was so much that I've done. And then Gurudev actually looked at her very intensely with his beautiful blue eyes. And Gurudev actually said, I want one thing from you. You didn't worry about the sin or otherwise. And she's like, yes, Gurudev. And then Gurudev actually says, I want your heart. I want your heart. And within that heart, I want to place love of Radha Krishna within that. I think that's the only thing that we somehow or the other, of course, in terms of an indebtedness to Srila Gurudev, can actually give. There's somehow or the other, of course, gives our hearts to Srila Gurudev and hopefully, of course, you know, Srila Gurudev can accept, you know, this fallen person's offering. Yeah. I pray for the opportunity to actually serve those Vaishnavas who are close to his lotus feet. Then I know one day he'll actually be happy. Jai.
Ujjvala Prabhu, that was so beautiful. And you know, when you were saying, you were just describing your wife, and she said that you've changed from what you were before and what you were now. And I was just muttering that Srila Gurudev stole your heart. That's what he did. He stole your heart, and not just yours. He stole all of our hearts, and then did something to it. Like mine is like it's like a iron, and I don't know how, but he managed to imprint something into that iron heart, and it's just so beautiful. And I'm so lucky that I have found some new wonderful God brothers and sisters around the world that I hopefully be able to do seva with also.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me. And you know, it's really wonderful actually meeting the rest of you know, Gurudev's family. And you know, hopefully we can somehow that, of course, you know, after this whole thing, we can actually carry on.
Yeah, and hopefully what we can do is hopefully everyone can get to Kartik 2021. We're all able to fly out to Kartik and have a massive event for Srila Gurudev. That would be amazing too, but that's just my opinion.
Agree, absolutely. That'll be amazing.
Thank you so much for coming and speaking with us.
Thank you for having me, Didi.
No worries at all. I also want to thank Janva Didi, who's helped organize the wonderful devotees coming and joining on our program. We're really fortunate and lucky. So Didi, thank you so much. I know you can't unmute yourself, but thank you so much for helping us and helping us bring our Srila Gurudev's family from South Africa into this program. So thank you for helping us do that.
I just want to say, not only has she helped, but some devotees have, you know, had health problems and have had difficulties using Zoom, and she really has gone above and beyond to facilitate for all of the disciples of Srila Gurudev from South Africa. So just wanted to publicly thank her as well, and she's been such a pleasure to work with and so humble. So thank you so much.